Mr. Fix-It is here to take on your DIY dilemmas. Text or WhatsApp to 083 3010 103.
You know something?
I do. I know lots of things, actually.
You are not quite as ugly as you used to be.
I don't know how that works.
Well, tell me what that is.
Oh, wow. There's a blast from the past.
That is a picture that I am showing Mr. Cloonan.
That is a picture of myself and a Groucho Marx look-alike. And just to be clear, I have a large moustache and a large pair of glasses. And that is, I was not in fancy dress. That's how I looked back in 1990, I want to say.
And what's even more impressive, you have hair.
I had a big mop. Well, I haven't a big mop of hair there, but I used to have a large mop of brown curly hair, which, in fairness, I did not fully appreciate.
So shall I share that to the Midlands 103
No,
socials?
no, you're okay.
I think I should. Well, maybe we should have a public vote.
By the way, I've had a good few people suggest to me that Will Faulkner for president.
Of what?
Now, you know, it's not a popularity contest, so you would have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Doesn't involve hard work. Talks a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fairness, I think you might fall down in the gravitas. You know, I don't know that you have enough gravitas to be a president.
Fair enough. Anne has the first question today. And she says, I have a solid oak floor in my living room which has not been painted or varnished in a very long time. And some of it is tarnished and dirty looking. So what could I use to restore it? And she sends an image there. You can see where just in those little crevices the dust and dirt over time has accumulated.
Sure. So presumably it's not too bad. If it's really bad, there are guys who do dustless sanding and varnishing, and they do an amazing job. It's a complete transformation. They go in, they sand all the old varnish away right back to raw timber, and then they revarnish it with a very tough, hard-wearing varnish. And that is absolutely terrific. We got it done in the shop, I'd say 5 or 6 years ago, and it hadn't been done in 20 years, and it was a transformation. But obviously, naturally, that's an expensive enough process, and it's worth it if it's really bad. So I would say to you, what you do is there are specialist timber floor cleaners like HG do one, and if you go to some of the floor timber people, they'll sell you a heavy duty floor cleaner, and then you clean it really well, and then you use polish. Now, a polish sounds like you have to use a machine. You don't. The likes of the HG polish just goes on with a paint roller. It's really easy. So the biggest job in that particular thing is taking out all the furniture, or else you have to move all the furniture to one side of the room, wash that one side of the room, move it back to the other side, wash that. And the same thing then putting on the polish. But putting on the polish is really easy. Putting on the polish will take you 10 minutes. And it's just a very fine roller, and you're going up, down, up, down, up, down. You give it, well, normally people do it last thing in the evening. You can do it in the morning before you head out and leave it to dry all day. And for the next 24 hours, just walk. You can walk on it, but not in hobnail boots. You're going around in your stocking feet, which isn't the problem at this time of the year, and just leave it to cure. But you're going to give it 2 coats. So the first one goes, if you imagine, up, down, and then the other one goes right and left, right and left, right and left, to make sure that because it's a timber floor, it's not like a tile floor where everything is perfect and symmetric. And if you don't do the 2 different directions, when you stand back and look at it in a certain light, you will see where the roller of its nature, because it's going over an uneven surface, missed a little bit. But that's a thing that's really easy to do, and you'll probably do it once a year, but it'll fairly well transform it. But because they're so long, use the heavy duty cleaner first, then the polish, and then to maintain it, just use a wash and shine for wooden floors. Because sometimes people use the wrong thing washing a floor. I'll do a really good job now, and I'll use, X, and I'll put in plenty of it. But then that dulls the surface completely. And because it dulls the surface, it doesn't have the same protection, so it gets dirtier quicker. So it's all about using the right product on the floor. And we always point out as well that if you have a lot of lime in the water, in the same way as when you have a shower, you don't have a shower every day, but for most people that have a shower every day, you leave a deposit of lime on the shower door. You actually do the same on the floor. So you wash the floor water evaporates away, it leaves the deposit of lime.
It'll become whitish over time.
Exactly. It dulls the surface again and becomes a little bit white, and it doesn't look as well. So if you're doing that, if you have a lot of lime, just dry it off. Wash the floor, just get a towel and dry off the bulk of it so that you're not leaving so much behind.
We'll be descaling the floor.
And don't forget, a wooden floor is a tough, hard-wearing surface. So just brush it. Don't be over mopping it and over washing it. Just brush it or hoover it. That's really all you need to do.
Très bien.
Okay.
So next...
Is that the limit of your French?
It is really. Voulez-vous? Definitely not saying that to you.
Yeah, thanks.
So Mark says, the wife and I were in France for 2 weeks.
Lovely.
Just home in the last few days, and with the heat out there, maybe we would have been better off staying in Ireland because we absolutely melted. Anyway, we left the kids, who are in their 20s.
Oh, well, then you were as well to go to France.
In charge.
You were leaving the kids back here.
Hang on, wait until you find out what he came home to.
All right.
So the kids in their 20s were in charge of the house, and they all claim to be grown-up adults now, so you would imagine they'd be able to look after the dishwasher. But it now stinks to high heavens, like a wet dog or a bucket of farts. Of course,
Lovely.
Nobody knows what happened, and we'll never find out the truth. So what can we do, because we can't live with the stink of it?
So I suppose two things. Something went in. Maybe I would imagine it was probably something like a saucepan or some food that was left too long, went manky, probably just poured into the bin, and then the saucepan or whatever just put in the dishwasher. So,
and is all that stuff in the filter now?
Yeah. So the very first thing you do is just get... Well, you can get a thing called Washing Machine Engineer, which is a descaler and disinfectant for a dishwasher, and it's really effective. But to be honest with you, what I would do is just get a cup of ordinary bleach, the plain and simple bleach, and put a cup into the drum, not extra thick, not foaming action, not lime scale removing, just like yourself, plain and simple. And just remove or put in a cup of bleach into the drum, into the flat surface at the bottom of the dishwasher, and then just put it through at the hottest wash that the dishwasher allows. And that 9 times out of 10 will take care of the problem. I mean, I'd nearly assume he has cleaned out the filter at the bottom of the dishwasher, but if he hasn't, that's the very first thing you do. You wouldn't know what's trapped down there. Certainly, sometimes, I suppose I have a thing, now don't get me wrong, I don't wash plates before I put them in the dishwasher.
You get the heavy stuff off.
But I get the heavy stuff off because I'm the one that has to clean the filter.
Makes sense.
Some people don't always clean the plates properly at all. Their attitude is that's the job of the dishwasher. But the person who has to clean the filter is the one who will always just rinse off plates, rinse off things before they go in. So if there's chunks of rotten meat or God knows what in that filter, yeah, there's a reason it's going to be filthy. So it's going to be smelly. So, I mean, that's usually a matter of just, there's a little press button thing that allows you to twist and lift out the mesh at the bottom, and there's usually a cup with a very fine mesh. So you have a stainless steel mesh on top, and then under that you normally have a removable cup with a nylon mesh that gathers all that stuff. And if that's all gone rotten, if it's a chunk, if it's a big lump, it's just going to keep going rotten, smelly immediately after you put through a wash.
Just grab the clothes peg, put it on your nose first.
Yeah.
Bernie is looking for advice on cleaning a chimney in a mobile home. For instance, what sort of brush would you need?
Be careful, because some flues like that will be a soft enough material. So what I'd be saying to you is check the size of the flue, get a nylon brush. I wouldn't be using a steel brush in that. And just get a nylon brush and make sure you have the right size. If you encounter a major resistance in doing it, just stop. Don't do any more, and get someone out that knows what they're doing. But usually a nylon brush. And also, we all often mention, if it's very damp, if there's a lot of tar-like substance, either burn hotspot, bluestone, co-mate, or a chimney cleaning log before you clean the chimney, and that will make your life easier.
Brian Cloonan is here from Cloonan's Hardware until 11. What's your question for him? 083 30 10 103, text or WhatsApp, powered by Lamb Brothers Toyota in Tullamore. In fact, if you become caller of the day, you will win a heritage card. So this gives you access to all of the Office of Public Works sites, not just for you, but for your family over the course of a year. And it's worth €90, and you will be able to enjoy all that Heritage Week has to offer. And many of those are already free of charge attractions. So check out heritageweek.ie.
Mr. Fixes with Brian Cloonan. Call 0818 300 183 and put our toolman to the test.
Still to come today, the new Rose of Tralee will be here. The pride of Ballyuskle in County Laois, Caitlin Cummins. And the Midlands filmmaker who could be Ireland's best shot at the next Oscar Awards. Now, huge congratulations to Caitlin Cummins, says a listener in County Laois. She's a super role model for everybody, just natural, good fun, has it all, and best of luck to her in her exciting adventures. And another person says, I'm sure she will be a brilliant engineer in years to come. And don't knock the format of Rose of Tralee. It is unique in the world. Next question for Brian Cloonan. Will we want to get our stairs carpet cleaned? And I'm wondering, does Brian know of anybody who does it? Also, the rubber on the inside of our washing machine is black, but I can't keep it clean.
Well, we'll do the second one first, because that's what you always do. I would say just get some Milton and put it on a sponge, or even better, the nylon scouring pad, the little yellow sponge with it doesn't matter the colour, with the scouring pad on it, and just put Milton neat on that and rub it all around the rubber, giving it a good scrub and pulling up the rubber so you're getting right into the opening, the U-shaped channel that's formed, and rub it in there, put on gloves and rub just so that you'll get the Milton, not that it doesn't do any harm to your hand, but just rub really vigorously all over that, and then put it through on a hot cycle, and that should really take care of the problem, to be honest with you. In terms of getting the carpet cleaned, no, like there are some places where you can hire out the machine, and I'm sure if you do a bit of Googling or whatever, you will get people who will come and do it. The stairs is the hardest bit to clean, because the machine on the stairs, you can't use the big machine on the steps of the stairs. Now, what I would always say, I'm a great believer in the bread soda is quite remarkable in that it's as cheap as chips, and if you bought 3 or 4 tubs of bread soda and just sprinkle it on, well, I would always say get a stiff-ish, now not like a scrubbing brush, which is really hard, but like a soft scrubbing brush or a nail brush, that sort of consistency, and bring the carpet against the pile, against the natural grain, rub it back up, put on the bread soda, rub that in, put on gloves and just rub it into it and leave it for a day or two, and then hoover it back out of it. And it's remarkable what you'll do. It really is, because if you're getting the carpet clean, it's really important that you get somebody who leaves the carpet more or less dry. You don't want the carpet on the stairs to be very wet. And for 2 reasons. One, because if you walk on it with shoes, it gets dirty again straight away, because you can imagine if you put down a piece of kitchen roll on the ground and you put your foot on it, it'll come away clean. But if you put a piece of wet kitchen roll on the ground and you put your foot on it, you'll have a dark footprint. All the dirt will have come off your shoe. The same thing applies with the carpet. But the other thing is, a wet carpet, very slippy. Slippy carpet, very dangerous. So if you get somebody in to clean it, make sure that they're leaving the carpet fairly dry. That they would do it today, you'd go to bed tonight carefully, and you come down in the morning, and it should be dry in the morning. That's important.
Anne asks how she would get rust marks off a floor covering where there was a stand with plants that was made out of metal. So when I moved it, the floor had rust marks where the base was. Linoleum, she mentions.
So you never know whether the chemicals that you use to remove rust, all rust removers are acidic, they're acid by nature. Now, mild enough acid, but you don't know what effect it's going to have on a surface. In this case, I would be saying either get a bottle of rust remover or get, if you have any of the likes of the lime-free or HG lime-free remover, they all contain phosphoric acid. And that's a great way of removing rust. And you might have it in the house, under the kitchen sink or in the utility room or whatever. And what you would do is put on some of that, leave it about 20 minutes, get a nylon pad, give it a little scrub and wash it off. Make sure you wash it off and dry it completely and then see how it looks. If that didn't work, but didn't seem to do any harm to the lino, repeat it, but this time leave it twice as long and cover it with a bit of cling film to stop it drying out. It certainly works for taking it off other surfaces, but just what you're worried about now is affecting the surface of the lino. I would say, to be honest, after you've done this, if it successfully removes the rust, you will actually have a slightly duller spot on that lino, where if you stood, as I often say, in a certain light. Now, you're probably the only one that would ever notice it, but if you stood looking at it in a particular light with the light shining in a particular way, you would see, that area is slightly duller. But is duller better than a big brown rust stain on it?
Definitely.
It probably is. And equally well, you know, the way we spoke earlier about using a timber floor polish that goes on with a paint roller, you can get a lino floor polish that goes on with a paint roller, and it really can transform a floor. You give the floor a really good washing with a heavy duty cleaner and then put on the polish, and it can really bring back tired laminate or lino, whatever, back to life.
Pauline in Castle of the Pollards says she has neglected wrought iron front gates and she's not sure if they're powder coated because of years of algae that has built up. So what sort of cleaning products will she need? And then what paint would you recommend?
Did she mention the colour? No?
No.
No, okay. That's fine. So what I'd say is, first of all, just kill the algae. Spray on an algae killer. Leave it for maybe 48 hours. In this weather, it'll work really quickly. And then a gentle power washing. Now, or hand washing, whichever you want to do. If you have a power washer, great. You don't need it. It's just a very easy way of doing it.
Once it's dead, it should come off easier.
It'll come off. So it'll nearly fall off with just one night's rain, to be honest with you. But it's the fact that you're considering whether to paint them or not. So you give it a gentle power washing. If it looks fairly shook at the end of that, then you're probably going to paint it. I would suggest just check for rust. Is there a lot of rust? If there is a lot of rust, well then use, actually we mentioned earlier, just a rust remover, which is mostly used on metalwork like that. You put it on, you leave it for a few hours and you hose it off, and all the rust is neutralised. So the rust is more or less invisible now. It will become active again if you don't treat it. So after you use the rust remover and wash everything off, and once the steel is dry, you give it a coat of paint. 9 times out of 10 in Ireland, people seem to paint their gates black. So you go for a black satin paint. Because if you use a black satin paint, you don't really need to use an undercoat because it has almost the gripping power of an undercoat. Now, if you're going to use a black gloss paint, you have to use an undercoat. There's no way around that. And if whatever colour you're going for, an exterior, probably oil-based satin paint because it's on steel and because you're going over where there was rust. If there's no rust whatsoever, well then you can go for either water-based or water-based or oil-based if there's no rust whatsoever.
Joe raises a steward's inquiry on the Rose of Tralee.
Uh-oh.
He says technically Ballyuskal is in Kilkenny. Now, I was assuming, Joe, that she was in the hinterland, maybe towards Atana or some other area that was in the Laois side. But we will have to clarify, is the Rose of Tralee actually from Laois? Because she's here in 15 minutes' time.
Oh, great. I think I'll wait.
Okay, next query. I want to get, the carpet cleaning. Did you answer the question earlier about where you would get the carpet cleaned?
Well, it depends where you are, but there are people in every town that will come and clean your carpet. I don't know if you've a cleaning doctor in your area or one of these people, but there are...
Yes, Alex.
No, there are people who trade under that banner. But there are people who will come and clean. It's a tough job. You'll see them. They'll be hot and bothered and sweating after it. It's a tough job. But so if you're not doing it yourself, just Google who in your area and start phoning around, because a lot of the contract cleaners don't want to know. because it is a tough job.
By the way, you don't have to text to give out to me because she is going to absolutely murder me when I get home for that remark. Linda is in Kinnegad and she says, we got the sitting room redone before Christmas. Lovely job, lovely stove, the works. But we have a sandstone flagstone hearth and it looked fine at first. But now I'm thinking it wasn't the best choice we've ever made because it's starting to get dirty and quite grubby looking. Little dirt spots appearing here and there. What can we do?
Sandstone you wouldn't say is the most practical for under a hearth. There's a reason that people often go for slate and those harder, darker stones. So sandstone is quite an absorbent stone. It's a very absorbent stone. And of course it's cream in colour. So like every bit of ash that or any black soot that falls on it really, really shows up. And it really absorbs into it very quickly. So what you would be doing now is just get a good cleaner, sugar soap or whatever you're going to clean it with, get it really, really clean. If you have to use a stone cleaning, a brick cleaning acid, use it. Get it really, really clean. And then once you have it clean, put on 6 or 7 coats of an acrylic varnish type seal on the surface, and that will make it no longer absorbent and it will be much, much easier to clean. I saw a picture in the shop the other day of a lady in her, I won't mention her by name, all I'll say is she lives in Cormac Street in Tullamore. She's in her late 70s and she was out with her angle grinder cutting pieces of flagstone, of sandstone, Clonaslee stone, to while installing the hearth and upright on a fireplace. Wow. And she's there with the goggles and the angle grinder and she's working away without a bother.
Mighty woman.
Yeah.
That brings our programme to a close, Brian. I would point out, anybody who wants to frighten themselves, just go to the Midlands 103 Facebook and Instagram accounts, take a look at the stories.
I hate you.
Because there is an image from 1995.
1995,
Mr.
wow.
Cloonan attending the opening of the cinema in Tullamore.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
And do you remember the movie?
Was it Casper?
Casper.
Yeah,
Fair
the
play.
Friendly Dust.
Well
Dust,
done.
yeah.
And of course,
that was the European premiere of Casper.
And they had a proper ghost at it.
That's before ghosting existed.
Exactly. Anyway, thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Will.
On the way, David Hollywood with the final hour of the programme, including the brand new Rose of Tralee. But is she a Laois woman, or is she really from Kilkenny?